We are EC Allies. It's the EC Allies.
I was just sitting right here.
You were.
Now you're sitting right there.
Whoa. Where will
So
Blood
much
be in
has
5
changed.
minutes? Stay tuned. Are we ready to queue up this
We
egg?
are ready to queue up. If you would like to ask a question, it's a $20 and up tier on Patreon. Our first question, well, not really. This is not a question. This is from Alexander Zirinov. Hello, Allies. I have no question this month, so I use this opportunity to share my personal ranking of all 2021 games I have finished.
Cool.
38 games here.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, only 38. That's
Take it to the limit.
that's not all of the Alexander finished. That can't be.
Why?
Alexander doesn't lie.
Hasn't even listed
Maybe.
one, and Blood is not feeling the
Yeah.
numbers.
Well, maybe it's just
Blood
maybe they
sniffing it
it's
out.
just that they play so many games. Maybe they don't finish them all.
Serena,
That's it.
Let's make 39 happen in 2022, okay?
What's your goal?
No, they just usually are like, I just powered through like all of these gigantic games, and I'm like, how did you have the time
Blood's
for that?
disappointed in you, Alexander.
All right, here's the list. Last place, number 38, Maquette.
Yeah.
37, 12 minutes. 36, Back for Blood. 35, A Juggler's Tale. 34, Lost Judgment. 33, Halo Infinite. Low on the list. 32, Nightbook.
Big Apex
31,
fan, that's right now.
Don't Touch This Button. I read that at first as Don't Touch This Bottom. Very different game. Number 30, Little Nightmares 2. 29, White Shadows. 28, The Gunk.
White Shadow.
Number 27, Resident Evil Village. Number 26, Life is Strange, True Colors. Number 25, Unpacking. 24, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. 23, Fate of Kai. 22, Blind Drive. 21, Far Cry 6. 20, Mass Effect 2 Legendary Edition. 19, Last Stop. 18, 3 out of 10 Season 2. 17, Near Replicant. 16, Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. 15, Omno. 14, Hourglass. 13, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Mass Effect 1, quite a bit above Mass Effect 2. Number 12, Solar Ash. Number 11, Psychonauts 2. 10, Road 96. 9, House of Ashes. 8, Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. 7, Forza Horizon 5. 6, The Medium. 5, Hitman 3. 4, Deathloop. Number 3, Outriders.
Wow.
Number 2, Persona 5 Strikers, and number 1, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
Probably had a
Also-
good run. If you have a really good crew in Outriders, you're committed to the whole campaign. I imagine that could be pretty fun.
Huge shout out to Apex Legends. I downloaded it in February to fill one free evening, and by the end of 2021, my playtime passed 700 hours.
Yeah.
That's what I
If you
mean.
watch the
That's what I'm saying.
showcase, you know his commitment
Yeah.
to Legends. He's educated me on many
Is that a
many things.
Rocketeer shirt?
Yes.
Love it.
It's a Christmas present.
Love it.
I've worn it on many Cup of Joneses, but the mic was like here, so I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
Show it off.
I know
Showing
that
it off.
pain.
Thanks, Troop. It's Far Cry 6 over Resident Evil Village. That's all I have to say about that list. That was a little surprising. Far Cry 6
But
was
you
like
hate
21.
Resident Evil
And, yeah, but I don't hate it. I hate Far Cry way more than that.
All right. Next comes in from Sage Mode Q. Yo, allies. So this month I have a couple mini questions for specific allies. Just a couple video game questions that have been syndroming in my brain lately. I like that. Feel free to take as little or long on each, and other allies are welcome to share their opinions on them as well. I just had these specific allies in mind when I thought of the questions. Jones, will GTA 6 feature a brand new map, not Los Santos or Liberty City?
Yeah. Yes.
Where?
It'll be a brand new thing. I hope it'll be Miami. I think it'll be. If you haven't, I don't want to get too much in the story in Red Dead Redemption 2, but it goes places you're like, I'm here? Whoa.
Wait.
Like, I think they're
What?
going physically. You go places in Red Dead Redemption 2 where you're like, I wasn't expecting
Are
to
you
go
saying
to this
GTA
place.
6 is a sequel to Red Dead Redemption 2?
No, I'm just
somehow?
saying I wouldn't be surprised if Red Dead Redemption 2 is in South America and North America.
Oh, I
Where
see.
there's a cross of countries. You are in two totally different countries. And you play someone who's like, has a
What if it's in,
passport and
like,
has an ID in
Yeah,
both.
Belfast.
What
Or
if
And
it's
you
like,
go,
yeah,
like,
London.
the border is like a big deal. Like, you're going across the border. I don't know. The more I think about that, just, again, like, you go out of the U.S. in Red Dead Redemption 2, and a lot of people were like, that was pointless. But I was like, that was interesting. I wonder why they did that. That was not a short amount of development time. I wonder what lit a fire into them to do that. That's my answer.
I liked it.
Blood, is Forza Horizon 5 the best racing game of all time?
Derisive laughter.
F-Zero GXs.
I mean, I'm gonna put no, but I don't have
Nintendo
like a
context
clear
are watching
pick.
really closely right now.
I like how you said I'm going to put no.
Doesn't know.
Filling out,
it's like a
filling out the
temp
mental
no.
form in your
temp no.
mind.
The answer to that question is above this tier.
Yeah.
This is not what we're getting into.
We need a does blood
Yeah.
answers the Forza question
It's
at
part
like
of the
$1,000.
It's on OnlyFans.
And like
Yeah.
only,
It's an OnlyFans.
there's one spot on that tier and only one person in the world gets to know, and they
Yeah.
can never share it.
It's an
We'll have to
NFT.
bump Q&A
Yeah.
questions
The
into the
answer's an
blood pact.
NFT. Yeah.
You gotta find out.
I would be okay
Deny it
making
otherwise.
that something that stupid.
That's our
an
only NFT. Yeah.
that is it.
Blood's answer to that question.
I'll answer for blood. Yes.
This one's for me. Thoughts on Yakuza sticking with turn-based combat going forward? Good or bad move? I think the way that they're handling it is good. Like Lost Judgment, you're still getting more of the classic beat 'em up stuff.
You're right.
Have not played
NFTs
that
are never
yet.
the answer. You're right.
But I think with Like a Dragon, I appreciated some of the stuff they were doing with the combat. In a way, I think the combat was kind of the weakest part, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement. So
Yep.
I'd like to see them get another crack.
Refine it, baby.
So it's a long way of saying good.
I have a question because I wanted to put hours into it, but I heard it was like 80 hours or something crazy.
Like a Dragon?
Yeah.
It's pretty long. I don't think it's 80 hours.
Do you think it's
but-
like an Assassin's Creed situation where they're going to be like, these are long now, deal with it? Or do you think they might kind of hone that
I
down?
mean, Yakuza's kind of varying length.
You think 8's going to be like a little tighter?
Maybe.
I mean, what would be too long for you, I guess?
Not for me, because I love to grind. I just heard a lot, and I didn't play it. I heard that a lot. I heard a lot of people who were like, I got 50 hours into it, and I like those 50 hours, but I just eventually was like, man, I gotta play something else. Like, so long.
I bet the next one was also going to be long.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wonder. I just wanted to do well.
Trying.
I wanted to find a big audience if they're taking that risk.
Yeah.
I was talking to Lucy James, and she said that she had been managing, I think it was a tea shop or something that you can like, or a candy store maybe. But she'd spent like 5 hours just running this store in the. It was either that one or yeah, it was like a
I thought you
Dragon
meant like a
Lost
real life.
business
Oh, that's
meeting.
No,
funny.
yeah, in the game, yeah.
love that.
Dude,
She was
I
like,
spent,
yeah, I'm
like
just obsessed
12
with
hours
this.
doing the business game.
transparent.
Yeah.
Where's this
Yeah,
going?
confectionery store. Yeah.
25 hours. Isn't it?
Huber is not here for this one, so we'll have to.
I'll answer it, I'll know.
Okay.
Brad will know.
Will
Rather
Kratos
know.
break out some more legendary Greek weapons out of storage in God of War Ragnarok, such as the Bow of Apollo or the Nemean Cestus?
Yeah, he'll bust something out.
Yeah.
Maybe the sword or the spear and shield.
What if it's under another subfloor?
Another
Yeah,
one.
like another floor under this
Go deeper.
floor.
Oh my gosh.
You gotta go deeper.
He gets stronger and just lifts the house.
This lifts the house. I put it in the foundation. It's in the cement.
I don't think he will though.
It's in our summer home.
I think that.
That was the last remember. Or
Yeah,
thing
I mean,
from
I think
past
Thor's
games.
hammer is probably the biggest.
Oh, he'll end
Yeah,
up with Thor's
Thor's
hammer.
hammer
You're
he can
fully
get for sure.
correct. Mjolnir.
Meow meow.
But then Captain America catches it.
Yeah.
And then
that's
Kratos
end
is like,
credits.
I knew it!
It's you!
It's you! I knew it!
Imagine Kratos in the
Something-
next
With the
Avengers.
beard though,
Some-
it's bearded Captain because you can
Yeah.
only bearded Captain America can fight bearded Kratos.
He's like 95 years old.
Yeah. Gets on the bench. No, I think I will. And then grabs.
Something about Kratos saying it's you to an Avenger is endlessly funny.
surprised. It's
It's you! Oh,
Could happen,
gosh.
man. Metaverse.
They got IMAX in Kratos'
We got
world.
the
I'm pretty
multiverse.
sure. I'm pretty sure he had IMAX.
The Keeley's got in there.
Next question comes in from Varun Kechwaha. Hi, allies. I have a weird question this time. What are your opinions on the parasocial relationships that easy allies depend on? One-sided relationship where viewers or listeners start forming a bond with a media personality/personalities, like friends, despite having little to no real-life interactions. I know you're not a psychologist, but as someone that is across the screen, I'm interested to know how it feels. Have you ever thought about the quandaries of this sort of relationship? When you answer questions such as this, it doesn't have to literally be this, who do you imagine to be on the other side? Or are you more focused on the question itself?
I have degrees in psychology and parapsychology.
Do you paranormal? Is that what they call you now? Paranormal.
I think a kind of a good correlation might be like having a crush on somebody, and so like having a crush on somebody, like it can go good or bad, you know, and so it's like
Okay.
you can have a healthy relationship, you know, with that person, and at the appropriate time express those feelings if it's the right thing to do or whatever, or you can become a psychopath. You know?
So those are the only options.
Only options!
That's it. I don't know if you've ever dated anybody before.
And
but I
yes,
mean,
Chad, that means Blood has a crush on you.
Yeah. And hopes you're not a psychopath. That's
No.
basically what Blood.
Blood's the psychopath.
That's what the teddy bear pillow says that Blood just gave you on Valentine's Day.
So I was like, yeah. So like, you can appreciate somebody. You can have, you know, like a degree of a relationship with boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries,
you know,
yeah, are
but
important.
it's, you know, it's important not to be obsessive or to think that they're your best friend or to think that you know things about their life that you don't know or that are not really your business. Yeah.
And I think that's like the line that like one has to walk is like there, because in a sense like these like what you know is the character of someone, but you don't really fully know them. Like I'm in love with the idea of my gorgeous lesbian therapist, but I don't really know her. Right?
She's a
So
monitor.
like right. And so like it could be like that too in a friendship way where it's like you're projecting it's like when the frogs complete the DNA sequence in Jurassic Park, you fill in the gaps in someone that you only see parts of with your own like, you know, projections. And
you
so of course
complete them.
right. So like and that's why long distance relationships get weird or like where it's like cuz you're making the perfect version of that person
Sure.
in your mind, and then you meet them, and you're like, "Oh,
Ray Rabbit, are
are you breaking up with us?" No.
I
Blood's
just
in
have
love with
to
you.
give a shout out to Eric and Chad because this is very funny. Good thing I have good friends like you guys to talk about that.
Yeah,
Great
That was a very good job.
No, it's the.
what I'm saying is,
God, it's that one meme where the guy's he's eating cereal.
Yeah,
next
no,
to the
yes,
ladies
yes.
who are like all laughing together, and it's like I showed that to I don't know if it was you or somebody. I showed that to somebody recently, and like they didn't get it. They were like looking at the image. They're like, "What? It's 4 people laughing," and then I'm like, "Look at it," and they're like, "Oh," and it's like you just blew my mind because that's the joke of the whole image is that this person is like next to like a suntan ad or something,
Right.
and he's
Yeah.
like pretending to laugh with those people. But I mean, it's like. I mean, this also kind of factors into something that, like, maybe we'll touch on the podcast, but, like, you shared who was working with Viva or something that made the face, and, like, the guy was like, my creators just did a fun
God,
business
yeah.
deal, and so faces
Unity.
look better than ever in Unity, and it's like, it's too much, it's too close.
What I liked about that one is like tiny imperfection. Like her eyes were slightly asymmetrical.
She looked terrible. Like,
Well,
yeah,
but I
lots of
was like-
freckles just
but
to
it's like
show, like, blemishes. and stuff, like-
People look terrible. Like human beings aren't.
teeth were,
you
like,
know?
weird.
Yeah.
I miss the in-person. I miss Easy X so much. I miss.
Yeah.
I miss
Yeah.
going to places. I miss going to a park with Sophie and running around with people and eating cookies and stuff. Like I like that. That being gone from this is such a bummer because that was such like the payoff when we first started Easy Allies. It was like, yes, this is so different from GT. We can all be. It's neat to confuse allies when we say allies. I mean, us or that. You know, it's
Right,
neat to
right.
not really know that is a little cloudy. But it sucks when there's a pandemic.
It's weird. Like, not. I don't even mean that as a criticism to the audience, but like, you just definitely run into weird moments where it's like, I can see how you view me by watching these things, but I'm not exactly that person that you think. Like, it's just. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like a weird like refraction of things.
Right. A weird example, but I wore this jacket on the podcast for the first time in, I don't know, forever.
Yeah.
And it was like people had seen it for the first time, and I'm like, man, I've had this jacket for ages.
Yeah.
Like, everybody outside of Easy Ally sees this jacket.
Yeah.
But
When you said you never
Yeah.
wore it on camera, I was like, fucking what? That jacket is grafted to your skin. What are you talking about?
Like, and I think the other thing that I'm learning is there's so many voices that like if you try to constantly engage, you just like can't. I just don't think human beings have the emotional capacity
Yeah,
to
oh,
get
yeah.
like that volume of feedback all the time, and so you have to cut yourself off from it. You have to get away and have real interactions with people.
Well, that works. That works too. It's a two-way street because it's like, yeah, you kind of like. There are the people who like will comment or say something that I don't recognize their name or whatever, and that they all kind of are one person in my in your mentality, right? And then there are the voices and faces and people that you recognize because they've like commented enough or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you've become an individual voice in the from the one voice, you know. It's kind of an interesting thought process. And I mean, like, I had to take certain precautions parasocially. Like, I pay a company to, like, scrub my address from the internet. Like, and they're only, like, 5% effective at it because it's, like, it's already out there. Privacy's a myth. But, like, just to protect myself, like, just weird shit you have to think about.
RF switch, not, like, actually never, but just, it's not that often.
Mostly.
But we're on streams and stuff, but not like podcasts.
I was going to say
how do
something
you
and I forgot.
feel
Sorry.
about
No,
bonds
it's okay. It's not your fault.
with
Bonds.
the community?
I had it until feels. How do you feel about something? Are we supposed to feel those bonds?
I don't feel anything.
It sounds itchy.
I mean, community's been like really good and nice and stuff, so like I appreciate that. It's weird. I don't visualize what people look like and stuff unless like some people have like reached out like through our monthly patron mail. Sometimes you
Right.
get replies back and people share stuff and like you get to see that. Or as you said, like when we used to do our in-person meetings, like getting to see like people like that. So like I tend to like not drift that way in my mind. I like it's like everyone still like is unique, but like I don't like visualize people that way until like the whole like thinking about people like long distance and stuff. Like I just don't. I like to see like pictures if I ever want to get there, because it's like I don't want to like just guess what you look like or anything like that. And I don't know. It's kind of like I don't know. Like it feels detached sometimes, but at the same time you like there's comfort in it as well. So it's like this weird dichotomy there where you like rely on it a lot of times, but at the same time like when you really think about it, it's like how much time like you didn't spend any time in person with this person. So it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
So I don't know. It's like it's how things have been for like a while now. I think most people just like take it for granted and just enjoy it. But if you ever like forced to like sit there and like really deeply reflect upon it, I guess like it could seem like weird or scary or something like that, because you don't like how much kind of blind trust and faith you're putting into like just interactions, and like that is all you are. Like you don't fully think through the whole picture sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like a risk, but it's also like part of like a trust building process, I guess. Which
For
is
whatever reason, you saying that made me think of, I think it was like our second or third meetup at the La Brea Tar Pits, and I'd been talking to people, whatever, and then like someone was like, from the corner of my hearing, I heard someone saying goodbye to people, and then I walked over to that group, and they'd already left, and I was like, oh, who was that? And they were like, that was Blue. I think you or somebody was like, that was Blue. And I was like, that was Blue? And I looked over, and he's just like walking away like a cowboy past the mastodon bones. And I was just like, that's Blue!
That was Mango for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mango? Mango!
Yeah, it's
first
definitely a
time I
thing
met
when
Mango, I was
after
like,
a meetup that I didn't even realize that I had met specific people.
Right.
Because we were just using real names. So like, it's like, oh crap.
When I put together like names from chat that I see every day with names from Patreon that I see every day, and I'm like, you're the same person?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Well,
okay.
then I thought Nick on our podcast was Nick Gothic from Showcase. Different
Oh.
Nicks, N-I-K, different N-I-Ks.
Wild. We
Also,
did name tags.
worth saying,
We learned.
Worth saying,
The
that
fourth
door
or fifth year?
swings both ways, where I am now obsessed with some of you, thanks to the Showcase. Just keep bringing the games you're working on and
Jones
the comic
is
books
softer.
you're making.
Yeah, in an unhealthy way. Yeah.
Now I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Jones knows your address.
I want these games out. I gotta wait a month every time
Mango's
for
a
these
real
updates.
person and an idea.
Adam Henschel hasn't submitted a song in a long time. I love me some Adam Henschel tunes. I want Adam Henschel in his room, strumming away. I
Adam, are
selfishly
you
want
okay?
it. I don't want him to be stressed out. If he's not at that tier, any way he wants to support these yellows, I'm welcome to it. But I grow to love these people and their art. Then I go away.
I just want to say, like, the going both ways thing. It is
Is it
weird.
It's like Ghostbusters.
It is weird
Across
that
the
we live in a
streams.
time where like the product is the person, like, and you can just have access to that person for like endless hours at a time
On demand.
on demand.
yeah.
And it's like, man, if I sat down and listened to like hundreds of hours of myself, like I would hate my, like I'd be annoyed by me. Like I think you can just like it gets like you ever have that friend that you really like, but you just spend like too much time with, and like the things that aren't that big of a deal kind of like blossom and become like hyper annoying. It's like that's just human nature.
Yeah.
So I do think it is
Right.
good to like not over consume.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I just picture them as slimes from
Right.
Dragon Quest. And our mods are king slimes.
Different colored
That's about
slimes,
it.
though, because
Yeah.
they're all different colors in chat. And stuff.
Maybe a few
Yeah.
Moogles, that's about it.
Well, then somebody said, chat's the TV next to the TV. And I was like, that's yep,
That's true.
that's what it is.
The little machine that used to run you literally just said chat on it. And I was
Like,
like, you live
did
in
wanna
that
say
box.
something?
What?
Oh.
He had his like finger up at one point.
Yeah,
so
I was
then-
gonna say because like even before this, we used to do panels at conventions and stuff for like
Yeah.
game trailers, and it was
Yeah.
just like I don't like view anyone like any differently than any other person, and I don't view us as any different too, which might seem weird. Like it's like I guess obviously I watch other content creators as well, so I get what it is to like look up to somebody, but like I don't generally like think that way, so I like the idea to just like approach everyone as like we're just like regular people talking about games and stuff. So that's kind of what I meant about like the trusting is like I always remember just like having people just be there and just wanting to talk about whatever we were talking about, and we could like stay there for like hours talking about it, and it was just like kind of fun to do that. So that's how I kind of like see like chat now is just like it's just like that crowd of people who just like we're all there for somewhat purpose. It's not like we're there for necessarily for. I mean, I guess you are, but like I don't see it as like you're here for us. It's like no, you're here to have this conversation or to have this shared experience type thing. I don't know. I think being like down to earth helps that a lot.
Yep.
I really like your idea, Brad. I think I might just view chat as slimes.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
But in their underwear. Yeah.
Well,
Slimes in their underwear.
yeah.
Hey, each their own.
Wearing underwear.
Slime boxers.
Yeah.
what? All right.
Like, just think about it. There's a bunch of slimes watching us.
Someone in chat just wrote, "I'm a naked slime." Okay, that was a long one. Next one comes in from Hekar W. Howdy, allies. Unfortunately, I have not yet finished my review, but I am making good progress. It should be finished by the next Q&A / by Elden Ring's release date. This month, I want to ask about a bit of a taboo topic in game reviews, the ending. Obviously, reviewers won't show or heavily discuss the ending, so that viewers experience for themselves, but to me, endings are one of the most important parts. The Wii U game I'm reviewing has a particularly messy ending that significantly hampers my enjoyment of the overall story. There are plenty of examples like this in games such as Mass Effect 3 and Arkham Asylum, and a great ending can cement a player's love for the game. How do you all approach this in your reviews? Personally, I plan on having a spoiler warning section where I discuss it in depth, but I'm playing an older game, so it's different than a brand new release. Is one or two vague sentences enough to cover the impact of the game's culmination in a review? What do you think?
How you said it here worked. We know that it's messy and it impacted your feeling of the whole story.
Yeah. I think you say the word ending in a review and like people are gonna freak out and maybe close the review. But if you say like the arc of the story, if you're like, like tons of reviews I've read from all of our staff over the years where they were just like, doesn't really go anywhere. Like, it builds is nice, but it doesn't pay off until the very end. That's like a classic RPG thing. So you can say that, and it's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what characters you're talking about or when that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an 80-hour experience. That can happen at any moment. So it's like, that's not going to ruin my experience. But if
Yeah.
I'm like trying to make a purchasing decision, reading about the ending is a little strange.
You could absolutely get the point across without getting into the details.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's totally room for that if you want to get, like, really nitty-gritty with things, but for us, we usually like to keep that under wraps because we like to do it relatively close to release. But, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing a review
Well, and
for
a lot
game
of
from
times
while
that's
ago,
like one of the few things that's like just entirely off limits. To,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we're
before
not
launch,
literally
yeah.
can't
talk
talk
about
about
stuff
it.
like that. But yeah,
I would say from like a business standpoint, if you're hoping to continue doing reviews and build a channel based on that or something, I would say don't do it because it'll piss people off, and you don't want to piss people off right out the gate.
Sure.
Unless that's your angle,
right.
then go for it. But yeah, just probably not sound business decision to spoil a game.
I think when you're writing reviews, you run into this problem a lot where it's like, I want to talk about something, but I don't want to ruin it. It's just like this hill you have to climb.
Yep.
And I think it is important to err on the side of getting your opinion across. Like, of course you don't want to be the asshole that just like blatantly spoils crucial plot elements, but I feel like people are so sensitive to spoilers and everybody's sensitivity is different, where it's like, okay, no, this was integral to my opinion of the game. I have to talk about it, even if it's just in a roundabout way. I have to talk about it because my conclusion, my overall feeling on the game hinges on this, right? And so if you're like, the ending really let me down, and it is affecting my opinion of the game, I feel like you have to mention that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Like, different people will think different things are spoilers for sure.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
We've had video reviews where it's just like, why did you show this? And it's like, the game? What do you mean? It's a video. Why'd you click on it?
This thing was on screen for 1 second.
Yeah.
And it's just
I'm like, that's in the trailer, dog. That
Yeah.
wasn't even
And
my fault.
I remember I got nailed for saying like the first 10 minutes of the game. I like kind of described it. I'm like, you start in this area and then you're forced to leave and go somewhere else. And they're like, early game spoilers. And I was like,
Early game spoilers.
Yeah, it's like
That's
we
a-
showed.
they were like,
Definitely
now when I play the
yeah.
beginning of the game, I don't know what happens. I'm like, I was just telling you where the story starts, man. If you haven't even played the game, you don't even know if what I said was in any way totally correct or relevant because you haven't played it. But
I love games that like don't show anything like in the marketing materials that clue you in on something, and in like the first
Yeah.
5 minutes of a game, something is shown that's like meant to be like an establishment thing, and you put that in a review, and people are like, "What the hell?" Like in Tales of Arise, well, the first 5 seconds of the
Right.
first cutscene is spaceships, and everyone's like, "What are you spoiling?" I'm like, "It's literally the first cutscene," and it's
No,
like,
I've definitely gone into roundabouts in comments with people complaining about spoilers, and like it's on the back of the box.
Right.
Like it's right there.
Yeah.
Like this is the boilerplate description
Yeah.
of the game since it was announced.
Yeah.
But still, it's there's definitely a line too where it's like you don't need to say that. There have been times, working through everybody's scripts with like there have been times with Huber stuff, which is funny because he's super cautious about spoilers, but then he'll like spell out this whole thing and like, let's just cut out all of this and here we go, wrap it up in a bow. We don't need all that detail to get the point
sometimes
across.
giving context to what you're showing, though, like is enough. Like just seeing it in a trailer, it visually prepares you when you get to that point in the game. But like if you're using it in a review and you're talking about something, now your viewers have context to that scene. I can like see how that's.
There's also this weird thing where like if you're watching a review, like after you've started a game, like you perceive everything very differently,
Yeah, very
when you're
true.
not done with it yet. Yeah.
There's a fun thing you can do, though, which is tricky and risky,
Oh.
but to write a thing or show a thing that's a spoiler only if you know the spoiler. You
Right.
know?
Oh, yeah.
Like how movie trailers will show the last shot of the movie, but you don't know it's the last shot of the movie most of the time until you've seen it. Like, I snuck one of those into the GOTY Awards video.
Tales of Exilia review back at Game Trailers literally has the final shot in the part at the end. But it's just a person raising their hand to the sky. You can't even see the person, just a hand going to the sky.
Right.
And it's the final shot of the game, but like you have no idea
Yeah.
what that is.
It's funny to do
It was
that.
just funny. No one in the comments called it out. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't know, do you? It's not a spoiler unless you know.
What's funny
I
to
do
me,
think it's funny. Back in the day, Justin Spear was like watching the No More Heroes 2 review, and he said something like, "Wow, Marco just really spoiled the whole game," and it was just like a really funny moment.
Say this: first 5 minutes in the new Pokemon game. First 5 minutes, there's something in there that none of the trailers have shown.
Oh god!
It's like shown in the review. People be like, "You spoiled something major." And it's like first 5 minutes. It's like the opening of the game.
no, I was gonna say what's funny is sometimes like when I hear like professional film critics review or talk about something before release.
Oh,
And you get a couple of them from like different newspapers and stuff chatting, and like when they get into their criticism, they go through the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like they really
do.
like they put almost the whole movie on the table.
I think
it's kind of
that
nuts.
medium because you only have the narrative and the filmmaking process to talk about. You don't have the interactive element like we do. So I feel like it's easier to skirt around some of the narrative stuff in a lot of games when it's like not the game isn't like a Life is Strange type game where like you really need to analyze the story. Whereas like
Whereas
something-
Life is Strange is the opposite. I can't show any of this.
yeah,
Right.
Whereas you
That's chapter 1.
Like with Metroid Dread, like there is a story there, but like you really don't need to get in the ending. Like there's no point to really get into the ending of that like game. It's interesting, but like that doesn't like
Right.
radically like say like the game is so good beside that self, and like the story enhances it. You don't really need to be like, I don't want to say what the ending is, but like man, this ending really like raises a lot of things. Like, you can be ambiguous and say, it's kind of an open-ending ending where where is the series going to go from here and stuff, because it had some big revelations. That's all you really got to get into, and like the way it did its storytelling, I think it's the more important part.
What are you talking about?
Metroid Dread.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I think that type of game, like a Metroid, like open world games tend to like stories kind of on the back burner. It's there to like enhance moments, but like you really have so much else to talk about in a game review that like I wouldn't like need to get into the ending unless like the ending's like, oh, it changes the gameplay or something, like a teaser, like something like twist in like maybe Inscription or something, like where it's like, yeah, like that.
Which
type
the
of
trailers
stuff.
fucking spoil the shit out of.
Yeah,
so many people are like, "You guys spoiled Inscription."
But,
Like that's their trailer.
To
man.
me, that's so weird
That
to talk
wasn't
about
my
that game.
fault.
How do you talk about that game without
They don't have
talking
a lot
about
of
the
trailers.
twist?
They have
though?
3
It's
trailers.
like,
I used
yeah,
literally
that's
all
the
of them.
way.
Yeah.
Like that's such a weird thing to me that like you try and dance around that, but it's like, no, you really need to dive into Inscription about what it's doing, because that's like the point of the game. Like it's so
Right.
weird to dodge that.
What gets sucky is like for movies and games, like trailers wise, like the more you know about filmmaking and like games and stuff, you start to notice it's like jazz. It's the notes you don't play. Like the things they're not showing, like why did you cut away and then have VO for this line? It's like that person's not really there. Like that's a different character she's talking to.
Last
you know,
of
like
Us.
Last of Us.
Right.
That's what I was thinking of. And it's like you start to realize that stuff, and like there's no way to not spoil it if for people who are like seeing it like that. You know.
2 things. A, I do think that being surprised when consuming a piece of entertainment that's like meant to have a shocking twist, not knowing it ahead of time can obviously enhance your enjoyment of it. But I also think like if the thing is well constructed, like it's not just hinging on that surprise. So I think you can be spoiled on something, and if the thing is really well made, you can admire the execution of that
Yeah.
spoiler, right? So it's like, it's that old saying, it's not just the destination, it's the journey, right? So I think you can be totally spoiled on something, and I think people get so hung up on the fact that they're spoiled that they're not actually like paying attention and enjoying the rest of whatever they're consuming.
Exactly.
Especially when knowledge of a twist is the main marketing tool for the thing. Like, I think Doki Doki, I think Inscription, I think like, you know, like their main marketing tool is like, hey, shit gets weird.
Right.
You know?
But it's how that weird shit unfolds that's so
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But it's like
Um,
everyone goes in knowing like, okay, this is supposed to be weird. They tag this as psychological horror for some reason. Like, you know, yeah.
The other thing, I feel like step 1 from being like, this is a good review versus like, this is not a great review is
Rolled your
Like-
sticker, that's funny.
your adage for doing a review, in my opinion, should be like, I only explain exactly what I have to explain. Like the real meat and potatoes of a review is how you feel about something and why it is good or bad, not what occurs or like plot summary or explain mechanics. Like you only do that stuff to the absolute bare minimum that you need to get the audience to understand, because you want to spend the vast majority of the time making an argument for or against something.
Yeah.
Because if you want to like, it always annoys me so much when people are like I've gotten comments and they're like, well, you didn't describe what the game is, and it's like, Wikipedia it. Like, if you need to be told like it's a turn-based role-playing game and you couldn't like understand that through context clues or like the quickest Google search, like I don't know what to tell you.
Or footage.
You know,
Yeah,
like
literally seeing it.
yeah,
like,
it's weird to me when people like really want that like super synopsis-y thing, because that to me that's not useful.
some people can't be told what Inscription is.
You have to play it.
You have to play it for yourself.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I played Cards Against Humanity, and that was it. You can't be told what blank is. You have to experience for yourself. And the winner was Pringles. Because we lost it. I was crying. I'm like, why is that so funny? It's like no one can be told what Pringles are. You have to eat them for yourself. It's true. Pringles weird, man. Continue.
Next one comes in from James Davey. Hi, allies. Windjammer sounds like a group of gastrointestinal obstructing Power Rangers. Can't break wind if the colon is jammed. The Easy community has just wrapped up its second Hall of Greats with Super Mario World and the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion entering. The game I entered was Bully, so I'll ask, could you speak about your favorite Bully moments and characters? This is Jones Bait.
Yeah,
Jones
I never
Bay.
played it, so.
Yeah, me neither.
Why did you ask this question? Jones is gonna go on forever.
Just one moment. It's always a magical moment whenever you like unlock more of the map in any game, and that was always nice. There's a fair that's like the farthest you can travel from anything. It's like all the way down at the end of the street. You can see it like right after you leave the town. And it's just this fair. You can go on a roller coaster, you play mini games, you unlock tickets to buy stuff at the store, like costumes you can wear and stuff. And it's not open during the day, or there's not a lot of people there during the day, and then of course it blows up at night and it looks way cooler at night. And it's a real-time game, and, you know, every day just comes and goes. You can go to class, or you can just bail on school every day and not do any missions and just go to the fair every day.
Jones, do you have parents in that game? Do you like live with your parents, or do you live in like a dorm kind of thing?
Your mom remarried. I don't think your dad in the car at the beginning is your biological dad.
Stepdad.
And I don't think you even see your parents. They're just like, come on, so see you later, and they drop you off, and then they like drive off.
So it's like Kingdom Hearts.
And I think they come get you in the end credits. I'm not sure, but it's like, yeah, you don't have parents. You're just just by yourself. Good soundtrack.
Next one comes in from Michael Aniel. Hello, Easy Allies. I think the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake will be a Game of the Year candidate. Any love for the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake? I think we're all pretty positive.
Hell yeah, dude.
Dragon
I've
Quest
never
3?
played Dragon Quest
It
3.
looks sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
played
I have
a
played
little
3
bit
now.
of 3.
That's the
Not
one
that
that's
much.
like people love a lot. I
3
think.
3 is like
The most
a
beloved one.
cornerstone RPG for Japan. It's also the first one that has the
Erdrick?
job system.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yeah.
That's probably like 40 hours, 30, 40 hours? Probably?
I don't know how long.
I
It
doubt it.
What do you think, more or less? Or
No, I would think it would be less. Back then, it would probably be more like 20.
Sure.
I could see.
I always think of
close
Final
to
Fantasy
30.
6, which is like
Yeah,
35.
maybe up to 30.
But yeah, no.
Way down.
I think
Sounds cool.
one,
Yeah,
it's
hell yeah.
cool that it'll introduce like a whole new audience to it. One, I think it looks really good. That's the thing about the Switch re-release of Dragon Quest 3 or those Dragon Quest games is I don't really love the style, and so I think this is a much more attractive style, which is cool.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think there will be some jolly
More Dragon Quest.
frame
dude?
trap discussions.
Yeah, because I played the original pretty late, probably around the time that Super NES came out, and then and so I kind of missed 2 and 3, and then I played through 4, which I loved. But yeah, I never went back to 2 and 3.
Yeah, I didn't even play Dragon Quest really till 8 came out. So
I played through 1
I
and
got a lot to
2
play.
a couple of years ago, and they were really fun. Dragon Quest.
I was playing Arceus tonight.
Yeah. 28 hours for main story. Thank you. How long to beat? We'll see.
Next one comes in from Richard G. Flowers.
Hey.
Howdy, allies. It's a few years back. An unspecified and hazy time. It's an E3 of old. Some sexy CEO is on stage.
Which one?
They're shilling their wares to the masses. They notice that one of the stage lights is starting to beam a little brighter in their peripheral vision. Distracted from their delivery, they look directly at this needling interruption, already mentally filing a complaint with any venue staff responsible for the lighting. Theater turns a blinding white. The nondescript CEO grimaces and snaps their head away, shuddering their eyelids. Sensing a subsequent new darkness, they open their eyes after a couple of seconds and peer out into a now deserted gallery. They can't see beyond the front of the stage, but they instantly sense that the crowd has vanished. The CEO has entered Silent Hill.
okay.
Not where I thought this was going.
What does Silent Hill look like, and do to say a Steve Ballmer or a Kasserai, and what does Silent Hill torture them with for their obvious shames and untruths?
Because Harai, they just say demons like going $5.99
Yeah.
US dollars. That's it. And Ridge Racer,
Yeah.
just repeat.
Yeah, just
Silent
speedy
Hill,
cars.
Silent
Just
Hill, bringing
cars.
it to S Hills.
Lot of crabs.
Street, yeah.
A lot of crabs, dude.
Every
Drifting crabs.
every booth that you go to has Snoop Dogg. I know it's almost like that now.
That's yours.
But it
Silent
will-
Hill.
That's your Silent Hill.
But it wasn't just the times that I interviewed him. Like, he keeps coming back, like EA, like, oh, we're doing Battlefield, here's Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg getting paid. Jazz.
Snoop Dogg will just do it. He's
Yeah, he
chill.
will. Getting a paycheck, he's in.
I think the most, frightening thing for these people would be to not have money.
Yeah.
Right.
So their Silent Hill's just living in poverty.
They're pulling their pockets and just like,
Yeah.
what?
Like they go to a convenience station and their credit card is declined.
Yeah, all the
Oh,
ATMs
no.
are off. They're all
Yeah.
off. All the banks are
And
closed.
there's no cell phone
What?
reception.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Uh,
it's basically the game.
All the Ubers are full.
Well,
no
the,
David Fincher.
you know, the
They'll have
line, you know, the Nintendo line that kind of wraps around, like, the whole hall?
Right?
Like that line.
Wait in the Nintendo
You
line. to
keep
get out.
moving, but somehow you never seem to get any closer.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
P.S. Silent Hill, abbreviated to S-Hill, is essentially shill, so this makes...
True.
This is, in fact, the perfect sequel. Dostoevsky meets Kafka, E3 Nightmare to rival E3 2010.
Actually, I think Konami CEO's Silent Hill is that a new Silent Hill game comes out and is successful
And
and,
is good.
revitalizes the
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah.
You can
Maybe
smell.
wins a GOTY. He'd be like, ah!
You can smell the bacon wrapped street hot dogs, but you can never find them. It's right there tempting you.
John McCullough, in the Harry Potter / Wizarding World universe, to summon your guardian Patronus, you have to draw from the positivity of even the happiest memory you have.
Yeah.
What memory would you use to summon yours?
Oh.
If it's too personal a memory to share, no worries, I totally get it. Bonus, what animal / creature would your Patronus be? Penguin. Easily.
I would wait to get to mine. I would use Huber's mostly. I would just think of like a Huber moment and kind of draw upon his energy, and then when that was depleted, then I'd go into my own energy. But I wouldn't.
I don't know if it works like that.
I wouldn't start. I'd try. I would try that first. I was thinking about Shenmue. I bet I could.
Happiest moment.
I bet I could summon one.
Yeah, Happiest Moment's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to think of worst moments.
Yeah.
It's one of those questions where it's like, I can think of a bunch of happy moments, but I don't know which among those is like the pinnacle
same.
of joy.
Same.
Because it's like there's different kinds of happiness where you're like you think back to being a kid and it's like, oh man, there were a ton of happy memories as a kid, but was that just because I was a kid, right? And so it's like it's all relative to your current situation in life.
Yeah.
Well, and then too, like you think of like like big moments in your life, like what, like getting married or something. It's like, well, like you're happy, but you're also like a nervous wreck.
Right. The day my son was born sucked.
Like you're giving,
The day we brought him home was awesome.
you're basically up there like
God,
giving a
fuck.
performance to a bunch of people, and
Well, and the thing, because I thought about marriage too, and it's like, yeah, that's awesome, but I've also been together with my wife for like over a decade,
Right.
so it's like, I feel like we were kind of already married
Sure,
before we
yeah.
got married.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just think of like general moments, I guess. Like I'll just think it's like something like skateboarding with my brother. Just
Oh,
something
that's
really
cool.
like broad, I guess. It was always fun with us.
There was a moment where I could feel like the movement of the stars and planets, and that I was made of the same elements basically as everything around me. That would probably be it.
Cool. I have toucan for my animal, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what my animal would be. Just kind of like a
cat, probably.
6 meter cube of emptiness, just like complete
The intelligence
darkness.
cube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, going over to my babysitter's house and like playing their NES and PC games,
Cool.
and just like having that introduce me to video games in like first grade. If I could just live in that moment forever, that'd be pretty sick.
Cool.
Like GoldenEye 64's bad frame rate. I'd be like, expect.
GoldenEye is one of those things where, like, playing it as a kid, I didn't perceive any bad frame.
I loved bad frame rate as a kid.
Oh,
When
yeah, like,
SNES
ton of
games would
64
buckle,
games.
I'd be like, this is awesome. With
just
Contra, I'd
the
be
way it
like,
was.
"Ugh."
I wish I could go back to that, of just, like, not giving a shit about frame rate.
Didn't
Yeah.
the Genesis, like, you could get a controller that had like a turbo button that would actually just slow the game down so you could do
The
stuff?
Advantage, the NES Advantage had that too.
Yeah,
Like,
my mom tried
can
playing
make the buttons
Sonic, and we turned that on. Surprisingly, it made it much harder to play. Unsurprisingly.
Okay.
Cool.
man. Oh, animals too, though. I'll
Pixie
go, I'll
dust.
go with an owl.
Also,
Nice.
an applicable thing.
Blood and Owl is perfect.
You're not
I
a fan
love
of
it.
Patronuses.
Brandon just saw a cool owl.
Yeah, and
I
it's
did see a
Those
cool owl.
little
Holy
neighbors
my
yours.
goodness!
Love a good
It's
owl.
my backyard. Like I felt the wind. It was
It's
like,
freaky when
wow,
they
that was a
dive
big bird.
first.
And then my brain was like, that's not a bird, you idiot. That's an owl. And then I was like,
Yeah.
that can't
What
be
is
an
a
owl.
bird?
And then I just, thanks, Blake.
you idiot.
But it's like I see this thing completely in
you too.
silhouette.
Got him!
It's completely in silhouette, but you just see that like, swooping like head, and I was like, oh my god. And I'm like, well, I wonder what owl that is. And man's like, it's a barn owl. It's like, how, you can't even look at it. And she's like, I'm looking in the Google, and it says that's your Los Angeles owl, is the barn owl. If you saw an owl in LA, it's probably a barn owl.
One time I was
I saw
driving in the
a horned
country,
owl.
Detention, couldn't see it. Haha. Some people made fun of me on Twitter.
and an
They're
owl.
like, it's right there. Duh.
And an owl must have seen like a mouse in my headlights or something because it like swooped right in front of the car, and I didn't hit it. Thankfully, I would have been devastated because I love owls. But like, It was a pretty terrifying moment to just all of a sudden be like, right in front of my car, and I was like, what the fuck was that? It was good. Owl was okay. Mouse probably dead.
YOLO.
Well, I mean, they're probably both dead
You
now.
obviously love owls. YOLO.
YOLO.
Next one comes in from Robert Lee. Hope you're feeling great today. Let's face it, we're all getting older, but have you ever had a moment where you felt disconnected with the younger generation? What were those moments? For
All the
me, it was
time.
hearing the word sick to mean something good or awesome. First, I thought it was a one-off, but I was stunned to learn the slang had been used for many years. I associate the word with feeling poorly and throwing up, so even after many years, it's really difficult to wrap my head around this one.
I say sick.
Pulled a book out
Same.
that was about an animated series. And so I was like, oh, it's a book about an anime. It's not an anime book. It's a book about an anime. Like somebody wrote a thing about Dragon Ball. That would be an anime book, right? It's like the story of Dragon Ball. Not the manga Dragon Ball, but like the story of like, here's how the characters are created. Here's the art. This was the day I thought of Dragon Ball. When I wanted it to be a show, that would be an anime book. It would be a book about a show, the anime show. It wasn't that. Little did I know, by saying those two words out loud, I would be writing the path. I would be laying down the golden brick road of the rest of my life.
You've said a few things that have haunted you for years,
Yeah.
Jones.
I think we might have been talking about this the other day, but like Instagram stories, like the idea of just like shooting yourself and making a video that's just gonna disappear in like 48 hours.
Right.
I love Instagram stories.
I-
TikTok,
I have just
I
got.
also like. but
I've
it's
got
kind
no
of
desire
intense.
to do that, and I always feel like watching them. I always feel weirdly like invasive in somebody's space.
Sure.
So, and usually like
I mean, you're watching weird, like I mostly watch Instagram stories, but they're like memes and shit. They're not like, yeah.
That's when I felt old, was TikTok. I saw people like just like mouthing songs.
Yeah,
and
that
answer, I'm
shit
like,
is
what the fuck is
ridiculous.
this?
Yeah.
Like everyone loves this? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm old now.
I've consumed TikTok stuff through YouTube, but I've never used TikTok itself.
It's a fun experience
I
because the
just,
algorithm is so intense that
Yeah.
like, give it like a day
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll know everything about
Yeah.
you.
It's
No,
a hard
thank
thing
you.
to stop scrolling.
It's
You
wild.
like this
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of like lesbian ones where it's just like, hey, did you know you're gay, sweetie? If you're getting this, you're probably gay. And I was like, I already knew, but it's fun.
I feel like slang moves so fast that
does.
regularly somebody will say something. I'm like, wait, what? Like, dead ass was one where I was like, what does that mean?
No
What
cap.
Is dead as
No
yeah,
cap.
no cap is good.
What?
Yeah.
Scuffed
yeah.
I really like.
Scuffed
Kappa?
is good. Compromised. It's like the scuffed is the evolution of compromise.
Like, lit is,
That is
super
fun.
old now. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Oh.
You sound-
Everything
and
we
I
say
always
is
hated
super
it. I
old.
always thought it was the
Yeah.
stupidest freaking
Poggers
word.
is irritating, yeah.
Yeah. I don't really like when people say something's fire. I'm like, I don't like it.
Guilty.
They're too old.
I like scuffed a lot.
Scuffed is
Scuffed's
great.
fun.
It's
I
very
love
good.
Scuffed.
It's very good.
Drip is yeah.
Drip is another one. Yeah. Yeah. I don't say drip. Do you
Drip's
say
the best
drip?
part.
I don't say drip.
I don't
No,
know.
it's
I think that's more of a cultural thing, maybe.
But that's
like-
what. Yeah, that's what I kind of like with
I can
lit.
feel it in my throat. That's
Kinda-
the drip.
yeah.
Drip's the best part.
Just felt like a different circle. So
Very
when people I
different
knew
thing.
started saying it, like, what?
Sometimes, like, I'll hear these words and I'll think I know what they mean, but I'm never like
Oh, that's
quite
the worst.
sure. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the absolute worst.
That's where I want to live.
I like some
In
slang
that limbo.
in ironic terms. Like when people
Yeah.
say dank unironically. I
Oh
love
yeah.
it.
Well, the problem is though, after a while it becomes post-ironic.
Exactly.
Like I was
It
saying
bleeds in.
dank
Oh,
and hella
dank.
like
you're
ironically.
kidding, but
Right.
you're not.
But then so I did it for so long, I just started saying it.
Went to a 13-year-old's birthday party the other day. My godson. It was just fun to just kind of like lean in on conversations. Just like, what are they talking about? It's like they're watching Miles Morales, but it's like, are they already over this? Or are they like excited for the sequel? Do they know the trailer came out? I wonder. You know, just
It haunts
watching
me.
kids be kids.
It haunts me to this day because one time, this is a long time ago, living in Chicago, I was like all decked out. My girlfriend, we were both going to like a fancy party, and this guy yelled something at us, and we just ignored him because I didn't know what it meant. And then I later asked my friend, I was like, "What does that mean?" And it was like, "Oh, that was a compliment. They said you look good, and they thought your girlfriend was cute." And I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I could have responded like to say thank you. I guess I don't know, but I just didn't know what it meant, so it was very weird."
I agree with Krevik that I dislike how popular cringe has become.
Oh,
Like, I think
hate
saying
that word.
something is cringy is like totally valid, but I feel like it's become so overused that like it just like encompasses anything that someone doesn't like.
Well, it's just like
Yeah.
the word trash with me. People call everything trash.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
So
Basically, you
dramatic.
just hate the way I talk.
Yeah. Fix your vocabulary.
All right.
I had aversion to meh. When meh came out, I really didn't like meh. M-E-H.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
As well as somebody like writes reviews, it was just like it was the non-review. I'm like,
Literal is one
Cool
that
comment, bro.
is annoying, and I say it constantly.
Literal, literal, literal.
All the
literal,
time.
literal,
I
literal.
say literal. It's a really,
Well,
it's a
get
habit
guilty.
that I have. Yeah.
Chad was mentioning something about thank you, but I had like as an adult, I run into like this weird like logical paradox of like the person that I'm like getting something from, they say thank you, and then I also say thank you.
Right.
I'm like, when is you're welcome actually
Right.
the appropriate response?
In other languages, they just have the same.
Right.
Or please means both. Like that's always interesting. It means please and you're welcome.
Huh.
I say,
Like in German, you'd say like bitteschön. Like
I love
to
the
mean
awkward-
please or you're welcome.
Yeah.
Saying you too to somebody when it's not the right
Right.
response.
There are a
Enjoy
lot
your
of
meal. You too.
yeah, I also
I think I've definitely done that shit.
Yeah. Oh
If
yeah.
someone did that to you, you would let them walk out of the room without doing eye contact. So you know
Absolutely.
they do the same.
Yeah,
You know, they're
absolutely.
like, that person didn't make sense, but I can't
It's an
look at them.
unspoken
because-
agreement.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I
TikToks,
did
there was
that
a
3
funny
days ago.
trend of people doing that where they say you too, but then they took it further. Like, so someone was like, enjoy your meal, you know, and they're the waitress or whatever. And the guy's like, you too. And then she's like, do you work here? And then he's like, I guess I do. And then it cuts to them both like in the kitchen, like washing dishes. And they're like, oh, time for our break, you know. It's funny.
Cringe.
I say aunt in a
Omega cringe.
location-based way. It's not wrong, it's just different.
Yeah, English is stupid.
Yeah, everything
English is
stupid.
pretty dumb.
Being alive, what a train wreck.
Yeah.
It's fire.
Honestly.
Trash fire, dude. Trash fire.
fire. Trash fire.
It's
Trash fire.
a song of trash and fire.
I saw a headline that like Bono hates the name U2.
So do I.
It's just like
music also. He's like, I
What?
like any of the music.
that's so funny.
He's not wrong.
But just to like,
like a lot of
have
stuff we
something
did.
be so big and have it to be part of your life for so long, and then be like, yeah, I hate it. It's just
That's your
deeply
identity.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Guinness hated Star
That's
Wars.
like how
True.
Radiohead hates
Came
Creed.
back for two
Yeah.
more.
DoD 7 to 14. Howdy allies. Is Microsoft's acquisitions not the solution to the core issue of their publishing effort? As a business, Phil Spencer runs the Xbox brand exceptionally well and extremely aggressive with its growth. Sony should be concerned as it puts a competitive wall of popular IP that'll be difficult, if not impossible, to overcome. Sony works on mostly published exclusive with studios over years before acquiring, with a few outliers like Firespray. They each have their strength. But as a creative business outlet, Microsoft isn't as strong. There isn't much precedent for creative fostering from Microsoft in the way Sony and Nintendo operate. The smaller / mid-tier studios that they'd acquire have a lot of talent. This hasn't yet been shown how Microsoft themselves has improved as a publisher. I'd love for that to change, and the future looks bright. The best thing about Activision Blizzard purchase is that people's lives will likely be improved with Microsoft taking over higher leadership. All the possibilities of Microsoft studios working together on different IP has all been speculation thus far from fans / media. This would be a great use of development resources for when it makes sense, but there's been no evidence of this thus far, even with Microsoft saying Bethesda would continue to operate mostly independently. I feel like the next step should be to get a Sean Layden type, or literally Sean Layden, who would be able to guide and approve these projects using the experience publishing for other console platforms. Eternal love and respect. Apologies for the long question.
What is the
That was not a question.
I'm confused. Yeah.
As you can see, I've had a lot of thoughts. I don't.
like?
Maybe I missed it, but I don't
think
see
good
the
that
question.
they bought them.
I think they're asking if it's the right way to go about it.
Oh,
Is
about
that how you solve the
acquiring-
Is
problem?
Microsoft's acquisitions not the solution to the
The right way to
question
build
for-
it.
Oh, I don't know. Like,
I'm still giving them time.
Time
I
will
think they're
tell,
playing the long
yeah.
game. I still think they're playing the long game.
like
Even back in that big acquisition that, like, remember when we used to be impressed by stuff like that, where you announced like 8 companies that day or that week, 73. It was like, you get an Xbox contract. You get it. We're like, they bought so many companies. Some of those are still like, we don't know. Like they're still cooking. We haven't even seen Fable yet. Like I think and Halo Infinite they just said was the biggest Halo game ever. And so it's like I think they're gonna start.
but it's taken them a
lot of
long
home runs, a lot of
time,
Sony-sized home runs.
a long time to show any like
Yeah.
this. Here's an advantage of us buying them. Like when they bought Rare, it's like they didn't have anything really killer until Sea of Thieves, honestly. Like, they were doing like 3 Kinect games.
Right.
And they did Halo 4 and 5, which were like, whatever. But it's like, maybe now things will start to show. It's taken them a long time to show, like, fruits from their labor, but hopefully more will come.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the, because we were joking on Stream Team, like, how many podcasts there are. And there's just, like, such a big business in speculation, but I think that's a speculation for something like this is almost pointless because these big deals take so much time, and to see like the full extent of how everything is going to play out, it's going to take so much time, and there's so much that can happen between now and then, right? Like, who knows? Maybe there will be another pandemic. You know, it's like so many things can happen that to make any sort of like qualified statement on like I think it's going to play out this way. Like, yeah, that speculation is fun. I don't think there's any harm in doing it, but I don't know how useful it actually is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of part of the divide comes down to just like how different the Bethesda and Activision acquisitions are.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you like, you know, you talk about Playground Games, right? Like, they worked with Playground Games for like 3-4 games before, you know, they bought them, you know, and it's sort of similar, like, you know, Nintendo buying Next Level Games or Sony buying Bluepoint. You know, it's like they had this relationship going, and they're just like, all right, let's just make this a thing. We've been working together. We like you. Whereas, yeah, with Activision and Bethesda, there's even, you know, like one of the biggest questions is like, well, you're going to take these games away from other people? Because they haven't been, you know, it's not like when they bought Gears off of Epic. You know, it's like they haven't been like Xbox things. It's like these have been everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, Blizzard games have never been on Xbox other than like Diablo, you know, and Overwatch. But it's just, yeah, it's so weird.
Definitely.
Like, it won't be another pandemic. It'll just be the same pandemic. This is life now.
Right.
Like Halo
it's like
Infinite.
Walking Dead. It was just seasons.
Yeah.
When was Halo Infinite announced? Like a very long time ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah, like a year or two before the Series X.
And like, think about the ups and downs of that development versus like the evaluation of the final thing. You know, like it's just so wild.
Right. Yeah, the ink won't be dry until June 2023, if then. Yeah. And then it'll still be 4 years before it changes anything.
All right, next one comes in from Mike Hook 1. Good afternoon, allies. We've got some video game movies to look forward to this year. I was thinking about the studios behind the more recent gaming films. Warner Brothers is doing okay. Recently released Mortal Kombat and Detective Pikachu was received well. Paramount has Sonic, and that has a good reputation so far. I look at Sony and wonder what is wrong. The films have been some far, and the new Uncharted film looks at best passable. Sony is doing the thing we all wanted, which was to make movies like the games, but something is still off. Tomb Raider 2018 was like the video game. Scenes from the game were even recreated in the film, but it wasn't great. Same with Resident Evil 2021. Uncharted will also have scenes straight out of the games, so what do studios need to do with these properties to elevate them to near impossible standards, similar to how they did when adapting comic books?
Loot boxes.
Boxes, all right.
Just don't have it be another world. Take the story in a direction that I can go back to the games I'm playing and be like, neat. And it's like, the Uncharted movie's not going to do anything for any Uncharted game. It's not going to inform anything. Whereas, like, you could, you know, like, it could have, like, there could be some phone call, like, on, you know, it's like later at the end of the movie where, like, you get Nolan to record, like, where it's like, oh, whoa, this kind of ties in. And it's like, now I care. Otherwise,
That's some real
it's just,
metaverse thinking, John.
It's just like, you know, somebody being in Fortnite. It's like, oh, okay, I'm wearing the costume of this dude for a little bit. That was fun. But it's not like, whoa, I was emotionally moved by that. Pikachu kind of changed things a little bit. It kind of messed with that world, you know, a little bit. Like, it introduced like some new kind of interesting concepts. And I was like, oh, they could then make a game about this. And it would be like based on what they brought with the movie. But Tomb Raider didn't do that. Resident Evil didn't do that. I didn't see Resident Evil.
We talked about this earlier today on stream, Ben, but actually it's like the storytelling in games is a lot better than how they're doing it in the movies, actually. Like, the storytelling in Resident Evil Village is better than the Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
So they're getting to a point where they're gonna have to outclass that some way. But it's getting just harder for them.
The thing about adapting comic books into movies is like comic books have decades upon decades of stories and interpretations and crossovers and all that thing. And so condensing that into, you know, a multi-movie experience makes it just more digestible for people. Whereas, like, I feel like game saturation is ever increasing. More and more people are playing games, and you have things like Game Pass, right, where you can get access to a bunch of things. And so to have a movie that is similar to the game, it's like, well, it's not that hard to just play the game. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there is a segment of the audience that doesn't play games or isn't familiar with it, but I just don't think it, like, that condension works as well for a type of media that is thriving and popular and as successful as video games are.
Well, it's weird too because, like, as you said, like, movies have been around forever, or 100 years, you know. So, like, the medium has been around for a long time, and it's like making good movies is hard, or everybody would do it. Like, there's like 100-something movies a year, and 10 of them are great, or like 2 of them are great, and 10 of them are fine. You know, like, I mean, the real answer is just make better movies. Like, they finally did a good Superman 3 this time, you know, and it's like it took 6 tries, like, and it's like, well, it's just hard, and you just have to try and hire better people, which makes your budget go higher, you know. I don't know. Like, there's no easy answer. It's just like you got to swing, and seems like most of the time video games movies have missed, but now we're getting into because I think previous to now, the thinking was more like, this is an exploitation film. We're exploiting this market, and this market's not very big. Whereas now they're like, hey, wait, if we actually make this movie good, we can hit people wanting to go to movies and the fans of the games. And I think that's where we're heading now, like, because the MCU has, like, turned everyone into nerds, or shown that it works, you know?
If you think about, like, the source comic books, or you think about just novels, these are mediums that don't have, like, voices or people associated with them, right? When you're adapting video games, especially at the level of quality like video game voice acting can hit now, right? Like, it's kind of weird seeing Tom Holland be Nathan Drake, because this is already somebody that, like, it's not we have an interpretation of this character. It's like we have a very well-defined person voicing the character in this way, and so it's
not like the Powerpuff Girls where it's like, what would they look like if they were people?
Right,
you look like Nathan Drake, maybe.
Right, and so, like, I think you instinctively feel like this is kind of a knockoff,
which is weird, because that's why I think we are seeing some games. Like, they changed the way Spider-Man's face looked. Like, Cal Kestis looks like that actor. Like, you know? And I think that that's a step toward what you're kind of implying is, like, eventually the movie, like, if the movies used Cal Kestis or whatever, that same person would just go play him. But, like, Nolan North doesn't look anything like Nathan Drake, you know? So it's like, we can't have, I mean, but, like, you couldn't do that with that character, whereas with the new Spider-Man, you could, or with Cal Kestis, you could, or with Quantic Dream Games, or whatever, Remedy guys. You could have Iceman just be Iceman.
Like, to go back to Castlevania, I think why that works so well as a story is it's like, the characters that they're focused on really haven't been that developed or like as blown up in popular culture, right? And so, like, you kind of get to take this opportunity to further define them.
They fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and I think that's more interesting.
That Last of Us show, I just do not care at all.
Right.
I hope I'm surprised. That'd be rad.
I forgot about it.
If Twitter literally at the first episode is like, whoa, that was really good. Like, this, I'm curious to see where they take it, but it's like, there's nothing but brilliant people involved, and I do not care at all.
Like that's the thing. With even if the Last of Us show is like really awesome, is it just gonna be like, oh yeah, Last of Us is really cool? Like I already knew that.
Clickers are scary.
Right.
Yeah, we've been there.
I don't know. Like a Cuphead show makes a lot more sense to me. You know?
Well, and that's, I think those jumps are obviously easier to do, like animated to animated, like Arcane, like League of Legends is tiny little guys like this, you know, and it's like, okay, then you made a cartoon, it's like, okay, perfect, sure. Like, but if they had jumped to like World of Warcraft live action film, it's like, that, like...
Oh god.
Yeah.
The WoW movie.
Yeah, the casting in Uncharted is so weird.
It's weird.
It doesn't feel like who's gonna fit this character. It's just like, who's hot right now?
Right.
Sure.
Put them in it.
So hot.
Who's hot right now? And Mark Wahlberg.
Next comes from RF Switch. Greetings, allies. Sorry for the serious question, but I feel it's important. How do you enjoy a game or something that an ex-romantic partner loves, especially if the breakup and the partner were super extra bad? Asking because I want to enjoy Animal Crossing or Subnautica like I did, but a part of me doesn't want to out of fear the memories will come flooding back.
Time.
Gotta make new memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those associations will fade, and the older you get, the faster they'll fade, I think.
I never thought of the fishes in the sea analogy when it comes to games. There are a lot of fishes in that sea, just in terms of like
Games to enjoy, but that is sticky. Yeah.
Now, if your ex is in the game,
Right.
it's a little harder.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, it just... time.
Your wife is in the game and you're
Right,
shooting her
right.
with a weapon. That's,
You're right.
that's a different thing.
Also, yes, already here. But, yeah, just time. And, like, different associations. You know what you could try to do is, like, brain hack it. Like, play Animal Crossing while watching MasterChef and listening to Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, then you'll just, like, and a podcast, you know, and then so you'll associate it with that stuff and it'll just overwrite.
Get like a candle that's really good and just like...
Yeah, every
you know,
sense. Sensory
or just mac
overload.
and cheese or just something that's like, yeah, and just have it.
Yeah. Put like put like something that has other deep positive you know, attributions to it, like throw on Princess Bride while you're playing. I don't know. Then it might sully both, so don't do that, but
I feel like this is a good example of the when one door closes opportunity, where like it sucks that those things that you enjoyed are giving you bad memories, and maybe there's not a lot you can do about that. So take this opportunity to like push yourself, try out new things that you've never tried, right? And then it's like, well, that's not associated with anything bad, and like sometimes getting into new things is difficult, but what better time than now?
to play Shin Megami Tensei 5.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, why not?
play
Give it a
SMT5
chance.
and watch
Play Metroid
Straw
Dread.
Dogs.
My
at the
first
same
Metroid
time.
game done this year. Metroid.
That was the first Metroid you ever played?
How many times do I have to keep telling you this?
It's too unbelievable. My brain can't
I said it during
handle
GOTY's.
Remember?
There's photographic evidence of me saying it in your presence. I think.
We need to get Jones a
I
Metroid
barely
anime
exist.
book.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, we should go on Amazon and get that now.
I was so bummed I got stuck in Dread. I played Super Metroid because it was on my Switch already. I
So you're a
beat it
liar!
up and then Dread was the first one.
Oh,
and then I
first.
played
First.
Super Metroid.
Yeah, don't watch the Straw Dogs remake.
Next one comes
Probably
in
don't watch Straw Dogs original either.
from Shubhan Carr. Hi Alice, Happy New Year. My question is for Ben. If/when Tabletop Escapades ever comes back, have you given any thought to who the fourth player would be now that Kyle is gone? I've been going through TTE for a second time, and I'm enjoying it even more. So thank you all for making that. No, I have not given any thought to it because as of right now, there's no plan to bring it back. Not a super fun answer,
Matt
but the
Mercer.
truth.
Bringing him in.
Yeah, I think you'd be keen
Just
on
in the
joining
spare
us.
time.
Yeah.
To this day, I've never really sat down and watched.
I've never
Critical
seen it
Role.
either. Yeah.
I've just seen the highlights. Thank you to
Yeah.
everyone who shares highlights because I've never. I think the first season I watched like a little bit. If they do seasons, I remember the beginning I watched a little bit. But... So many brilliant friends that DM so many long, amazing campaigns. There's a Star Trek show called like not Edge of Tomorrow because it was a show I just watched. But there was a Shield of Tomorrow where they all got Star Trek outfits and I had a Star Trek set and they did the whole Star Trek tabletop. I'm like, that looks so cool. I've never seen a second of it. There's hours of it, obviously. It's just like, yeah.
We
it's
were the
cool.
best.
We were
D&D
the
show.
best.
Sorry, Critical Role.
We super weren't.
Get owned.
We were the best at being ourselves.
Yeah.
That's right.
We had fun. We did it our
Get
way.
Don on there.
Oh god, Don playing D&D.
Dawn would get us killed.
Don't
Yeah.
follow the rules.
I can
at
just-
all.
I would trust
Don
you
is a
more than
DM's
Don.
worst.
Bitch,
nightmare.
Don is-
Huber and
DMs are-
Kyle are DM's worst
Yes.
nightmare. They never read the fucking
I've
book.
played with Dons before.
Like, I can just picture Don like just needing to go up and attack an enemy with his sword and being like, okay, so here's what I want to do.
Yes.
You know, and just be like every.
Everything would
it's-
take
it's-
6 hours. It would
It's
be
like traditionally you
so
should say
horrible.
like, can I? It's like, hey, I want to try this. Does
Yeah.
that work? Don would just start with like, here's what I'm gonna do. And you're like, well,
Yeah.
I get to tell you what you're gonna
Yeah.
do, Don.
Here's how it's gonna go.
No. Here's what already
Dawn
happened.
is the anime tournament arc where each fight goes like on for 10
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 6
I've
episodes of
already
him just...
won.
Yeah. the power buildup.
I don't need to roll the dice because I've already rolled it.
I rolled your dice for you, yeah.
Don, I would love to see a show where Don is both the DM and the player. Just like all of the characters.
Fiasco.
There you go,
Yeah.
yeah.
Love Don.
Next one comes in from Ulf himself. If you have to cook a meal for yourself, what is your go-to dish?
Mac and cheese.
I
Peanut
What
butter
is
jelly
that?
sandwich.
I love PB.
I open up
noodles with
DoorDash.
tomato juice and eggs constantly.
Is that real
Yeah.
tomato juice?
It's like Campbell's tomato juice in a can.
I'm all out of tomato juice.
Yeah, I guess pasta or a soup or like a kind bar.
Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sorry.
Dungeons and Dragons. Wow. That makes me want him to be the DM and 4 players,
Yes.
and you just shoot it and you don't move the camera.
I think
Also,
it's
each
the
episode is like
Dragons.
6 hours
Dungeons
long.
and
New Dawn
Dragons, yeah.
City.
Dongans and Dongians and Dongans.
I made spaghetti last night, and goddamn, spaghetti's like the simplest,
Yeah.
but like most delicious
Good, yeah.
thing.
I hadn't had pasta.
Spaghetti noodles and tomato sauce and Parmesan cheese. Just
I haven't had. I didn't have pasta for like the entire 2020, just kind of accidentally because I ran out and didn't ever go to the store again. And I recently started eating it again, and now I'm like, oh yeah, this stuff was really good.
I have too much pasta.
But I'm like nervous that I'll gain weight or something. I don't know.
Hey,
Does that
you know
have no
what?
pasta? Is
The
that a
world's
thing?
gonna end anyway. You know.
Well,
yeah.
Fuck
Yeah, and I wanna leave. I wanna be a sexy, burned out husk on a dead planet. Thank you very much.
We all got goals.
Yeah, pasta's definitely a go-to. I think I've mentioned it in chat, but I think it's probably been a long time since I've explained it. But I do a weird thing I came up with, I just call ramen salad.
It's called Maze Men. Bloodworth.
And so I'll just make a salad, and I'll cook some ramen and toss some eggs in there, and then I'll drain most of the broth, but then put the ramen and eggs on top of the salad.
That's literally Maze Men. It's really good.
And yeah, it's probably
ramen
I wouldn't
salad.
do it with like an iceberg or anything like
Ramen
that.
salad.
But when you have
Ramen salad.
greens and spinach, it's really good.
Yeah.
I suggest going to Mogu Mogu. They're really, really, really good.
I haven't made them in a long time, but I used to love making pancakes.
Oh fuck
Love it, dude.
I've had
Pouring
blood
it.
pasta before. You made pasta.
Blood
easy,
pasta?
Easy
Yeah.
living.
Yeah, you did.
Pasta
That's
was
true,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made a big old bowl of it. I
Oh yeah, he did that one.
went to town on that.
Simple stuff. Just boiling eggs or buying ground beef and just cooking up some ground beef with
Nice.
some seasoning.
Our grandpa was in World War whatever, and he had like we have a recipe. It's like framed at my sister's house, but it's his pancake recipe.
Cool.
And it's like written on the back of an envelope, and it's like framed. And it was like what he would make for like all the soldiers in his platoon or whatever the fuck. Pretty gnarly, and they taste good.
I think about like the pockets of dudes like marching through France, you know, and just like how
Yeah.
tight, like all the everything they have in the world is just like in this one pocket.
Also, it's messy, but just making a box of Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah,
throwing some
dude.
sriracha in there. You can't go
throw all
wrong.
sorts of
Waffles are
stuff in there. Just you open the first packet, you do that. Then you open the second packet, you chuck the pasta to the wind and use the second cheese packet. You double down.
I've never done that.
You double down.
We used to do that as
I've doubled down
kids,
several
yeah.
times.
We
I've
used to
done the
do that.
Velveeta squeezy
why
packet with the powder packet. Bam! College, baby.
That, yeah.
Damn, college.
We used to make spaghetti at 11 p.m. like almost
2
every day.
decades ago.
Next question comes in from Stomps. I think a lot about heavy orchestration in video games tracks. As a musician, I'm constantly on the hunt for new and interesting chords and melodies, and I found that a lot of retro games produced an amazing amount of innovative chord progressions and distinct original melodies.
True.
My beef when it comes to heavily orchestrated soundtracks is, while it can help fit music into a more modern and cinematic game, it can also feel like a crutch that relies on tropes instead of compelling writing and style. I'm curious if there are any modern style games that come to your minds that you think still manage to deliver this potent video gamey charm to them. Conversely, I feel free to humor me and throw out any soundtracks that you thought really didn't stand out and instead aimed to blend in with an unremarkable movie soundtrack style.
Chicory.
Yeah, Chicory. She's making really good
Yeah,
stuff.
good stuff.
I really love, obviously, what Jessica Curry does usually, which is, it rides that line. It's more like orchestral and cinematic, but it feels specific to a game.
I totally ignored. I didn't finish I only played like 8 hours of Death Stranding, and I really ignored most of the soundtrack. And then like at GOTY's, it made such a splash, and then I just became obsessed with that soundtrack for like a month and a half. And it was just looped it over and over and over again. I was like,
The score or the licensed song?
The licensed well, it was a mix of
yeah,
what the playlist I was listening to had everything on it.
Oh, Disaster
It was just
Piece
like-
is great, yeah. Rich is cool. He makes good stuff.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I think Nier soundtrack feels both modern and distinct.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disaster Piece Rich did a good soundtrack for Under the Silver Lake, and it's so different from what he normally does. It's like a Hitchcock soundtrack. It's really cool. So he does both. He does like the orchestral stuff and the...
Yeah, if you haven't already, patrons, last year I did a bunch of little soundtrack club discussions where we talked about a lot of different styles of soundtracks every month. We did 3. One that I think is, very Hollywood cinematic but excellent is Spider-Man and Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Like, very good themes in there, changing things up as you progress through the game. And just, they make those games feel very, 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 very good.
When you boot up Miles Morales and the piano, like,
Yeah.
with the drum is so good.
Peter's theme was so good, and when Miles' theme came in, and I'm like, oh, they did it again! Yay, good for them. Like, I was like, I hope Miles doesn't get like the Peter Miles theme, Like, I'm like, I hope they don't just like make his funky, It's like, no, this is great. Like, this is really, it fits his character, and when he was like having monologues, and I was listening to it, and he's flipping around, it's like all of this just fits so well.
Man, that Miles Morales game was dope as fuck.
Spider-Man 2 is going to be nuts.
Spider-Man 2 is going to be nuts.
Completely insane.
Oh,
The Ori
like-
soundtracks were.
Oh, Ori, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you made a good point about the older soundtracks doing really interesting things with chord progressions and melodic progressions and stuff. And it's like, what I like about that is they're working with a limited tool set. And I think that, like, when you limit your tool set, you get really creative because it's like, what is it? What's the old saying? Like, desperation is the mother of invention, or whatever it is. Where it's like, or limitation is the mother of invention. You like have to think outside the box when you've only got 6 notes or 6 bits or whatever.
I think it's not just that, but I think something that is unfortunate with modern video games is like a lot of times, like if you're in a boss fight, right, and there's all these particle effects going on, all this stuff's happening. It's hard to like to make your brain be like, I'm gonna focus on the music. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But back in the 8-bit and 16-bit days, I feel like you just didn't have as much for your brain to process.
Yeah.
And so it was easier to appreciate the music, and
Oh yeah.
the music was more repetitive, so I think it drilled it into your head probably
That's
more
why
as
like
well.
Final Fantasy VI is always going to just have impacted me more because it, in a lot of areas, it was just like a little gray hallway and this song, So like, yeah, the song was kind of doing the heavy lifting.
Right.
Shout out to Jesse Blue, who brings up the movie soundtrack to Interview the Vampire, which is not on Spotify.
Interview with the Vampire?
Not on Spotify. Neither is The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas, that soundtrack.
FF6 Pixel Remaster soundtrack next month.
I know. Well, next month, is it?
I guess.
Supposedly.
I don't know. I'm just going off the rumors.
I know. That's what people are saying.
You ever been to the Field Museum in Chicago?
I haven't spent a lot of time in Chicago. I think I've been twice.
Chicago's great, but they've got those lions from the Sabo
Oh, right,
murder lions. They're
That's
there.
right, yeah.
I just saw them in October.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, like we said with Miles Morales and stuff, there are good examples of orchestral scores, but I have seen like a lot of the more memorable things have been stuff, like Austin Wintory or like BioShock Infinite, where they actually, they have live instrumentation, but it's a much smaller group of players or a more focused group of players. Like Banner Saga was like pretty much like all brass, it's just, and percussion, and it really, like, yeah, it's those limitations and just like really focusing in on a soloist here or there that can make stuff kind of pop and be more vibrant.
Abso.
Next comes in from Tierju Engi. If you could add or remove a character from a game, who would it be?
Oh.
Add or remove a
Add
character
or
from a game.
remove. Wow.
Add or remove.
I would add, speaking of Spider-Man, I would add Green Goblin to the first Spider-Man game, but he's just flying around and cackling and everything. Just any cutscene or something, just the Green Goblin's in the back there. Spider-Man! And he's just,
I would like to
you don't find him or
add
anything.
Captain America to God of War.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
gosh.
I could do this all day.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tougher for me because I feel like there's got to be something that like, oh man, you can just take that guy out.
Right.
I would like, yeah, Nathaniel took it. I'd like to add Luigi to Super Mario 64.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
Pick.
Super Mario 64 DS.
That's a bad version. The OG version.
Okay.
I never played 64 DS because I just couldn't stand the idea of it. I played it at E3 and was like, nope, no
Add
thank you.
Waluigi to Smash. Just get him in there.
Remove Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Who you gonna play as?
Remove Eslo? What? That seems mean.
I mean, it'd be funny to just like remove the player character, but then not replace it with anything. So you just play as like Mario Odyssey, you're just a hat floating around, but it's like clearly
Yeah.
there's someone walking there, but you just don't see
armor.
them.
It'd be funny to like remove Andrew Ryan from Bioshock.
I was thinking of
you know?
removing Atlas from Bioshock.
Like, it's just like, who made this place? You know, just like,
Well,
What is
it's like the John that's taken out of Garfield, or is it Garfield
yeah.
that's taken out?
Garfield,
of
Garfield
Crazy by
without
himself?
Garfield, yeah.
It's just that. It's like everything's fine actually, and you just walk around Bioshock world. It's beautiful.
I wonder if you removed Charizard from Pokemon, what would be like the it card? Like, what would be the new hot item
That's
Pokemon?
Blastoise.
Scyther.
Oh yeah, put Lady Maria in everything. Nah, she's special. Leave her in where
Yeah,
she
leave her
is.
be.
The one reborn in Animal Crossing.
Everything gets red.
How about removing Steve Burnside?
Oh!
It's just not. I think we could still get to the end of that game.
Yeah.
I think they could still complete the mission. I think they could
You
still.
could remove a lot of characters from Resident Evil games.
Dude,
Yeah.
removing
Easily.
Steve Burnside is a good pick.
That's,
to
yeah,
remove.
that's a good
You
one.
can take Jake out of RE6. Helena, it's like not really needed.
Alright.
Dark Bramble is really scary.
Next one comes in from Runfire. Hello, allies. I've been an avid video game player for nearly 30 years, and I've never played any of From Software's Soulsborne games. Played a lot of RPGs and action games, but I've never been drawn to the series. Gothic themes aren't usually my thing. We are polar opposites, and I think, and the fact that it's supposed to be difficult turns me off for some reason, even though I typically don't struggle with these types of games once I start understanding the mechanics. Given all the accolades the series gets from you and everyone else, I figure I should give it a shot. Many years ago, I didn't think I'd be into the original Bioshock because of the horror elements, but picked it up because of all the positive things I heard about it. Now it's one of my personal greats. I want to give the Soulsborne games the same chance. I like the allies' opinion on where I should jump in at. Should I start with Demon Souls, the original Dark Souls, not 2 or 3, gotta keep continuity, or Bloodborne? Also, what version should I play on what console? I have access to all PlayStation and Nintendo
Oh,
consoles.
okay.
Just jump into Elden Ring.
I mean, yeah,
Why not?
probably just jump
Yeah.
into Elden Ring.
Brand new
but
world.
H Bomber guy or whatever made a good point that I think I probably agree with, that Bloodborne might teach you how to play these games better than the other ones, because like you don't have the option of a shield, and it teaches you that taking risks and being aggressive is necessary. So maybe Bloodborne?
I don't agree with that.
I don't know
I feel
that
like
I
you can
agree
do
with
that anyways in Dark Souls, and that's still valid. I feel like Dark Souls just have more options and variety in how you want to build your
Like-
character and play.
Teaching you how to play, I feel like you have to take more risks in Bloodborne. So it's teaching you how to play Bloodborne, but like a
I
shield
think
is
that
a
it
totally
translates to other. I don't play with a shield in the other ones.
yeah, but like shield is a totally viable.
Yeah,
so there's no
yeah.
wrong. It's like it's
Right.
not
Right.
wrong learning that.
No, right.
Based on what I play, I mean,
I don't know, that's
with
what he
Elden Ring,
said.
you're gonna have the most options. Period.
Yeah,
of how
Elden
you want
Ring.
to play.
Just jump into Elden Ring.
I just really think,
Don't
and
start
this
with
is my
Demon Souls.
own personal opinion, but I feel like the Souls community, which is pretty broad at this point, is like the fun of these games. Like some of the most fun that I have with the allies is when we're all playing it for the first time, and we don't know anything yet.
Yeah.
And so, like, when Isla comes in and she's like, I saw this and it was so cool, or did you pick up this thing? It honestly feels magical and like a true
Yeah.
discovery. And I think it's totally fine, of course, to play these games after the fact, but if you can be there at the zeitgeist and kind of go through that discovery process with people, I think it's going to be more impactful to you.
Yeah. I guess it just depends on your plans with this series. Like for me, I would want to see the origins of everything, how it evolved over time.
Sure,
So I
yeah.
would start with Demon Souls, but if you're gonna play one game, I
Right.
guess I would say maybe just Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
Demon Souls
between
could
the
turn
Demon
you
Souls
off.
remake
Yeah.
and Dark Souls 1 because I feel like Demon Souls remake, they like they've kind of like examined that and kind of
They refined it a little
refined a
more.
lot of the edges and stuff, and so you can go into that maybe feeling a little bit more comfortable and like more modernized and to a degree.
Yeah.
I had a blast with Demon Souls remake.
Yeah,
That's
but
so
I
fun.
think if in a modern era, starting with demons would be a little wild because like it's
feel
pretty
like
rough
Demons
around
is-
the edges.
Easier than a lot of the other ones.
The areas
that
are
too.
harder. The bosses are a
What
joke.
I've learned from beginners is they get freaked out about the healing currency in some
Yeah.
of the games, so Dark Souls might be a better option for you.
Dark Souls is probably if you're gonna. But I mean, I think your point is completely correct. Like, just wait for Elden Ring and play it with the zeitgeist because that's like part of the magic of these games.
Yeah.
I think just wait for Elden Ring and do that one, and then. But yeah, I mean, just start with whichever one seems interesting to you because
Yep.
they're all great and
Yep.
they're all different and they're all interesting and good.
I also think that like our brains have been conditioned thanks to the internet that like, there's a correct way to do everything when it comes
Right.
to entertainment.
Yeah,
And like there's like this is some unwritten rule. And like I get that. Like I feel that pressure all the time too. So it's not a criticism on you at all. But I also think like you have to let your own intuition kind of take the wheel sometimes and just be like sometimes it's as simple as like, oh, like I heard this song from Dark Souls 2 and that sounded really cool to me. Like just explore. Don't be afraid to explore and like look at things and be like that was the most interesting thing to me and then just go off in that direction.
If you're going through all of them though, and you get to Dark Souls 2, make sure you play the Scholar of the First Sin edition. It's way better. Yeah.
There you go.
See you in Elden Ring.
Yep.
Brian from Happy Gaming. Hey there, allies. A little late on this one, but it's time for the Easy Allies dating game. With everyone talking about Microsoft recently, I love this. It's the highlight of Q&A. Let's broaden the game a bit beyond a single franchise. What protagonist from any Microsoft-owned company would the Easy Allies collectively choose to date?
Joanna
Any?
Dark.
I was Joanna Dark
Joanna
top of my head, but
Dark?
I can't think of any a lot off the top of my head.
Perfect Dark Zero Joanna Dark, though, is kind of weird.
She's a little weird.
You're
Anyone
right.
from Killer Instincts.
Killer Instinct. Doom guy, that's
the
pretty
battle.
good.
Dude, Doom Guy.
Doom Guy.
Dude, gotta be a horrible lover.
No, dude.
Doom Guy's
Hurt me,
tender.
daddy.
Not a giving
Think
lover.
of
I
the power you would have.
Oh, he'd give it. He'd give it.
I don't know that he would.
Doomslayer. The Dover.
Rip and tear, dude.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Who were some other ones?
Capable. Doom Guy. Capable.
I mean, Cortana.
Master
I mean,
Chief,
Yeah.
I can fix him.
You can fix. He's a fixer
I
up.
can
Yeah.
fix him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
can
can
believe.
fix him.
Fix him,
You
dude.
can fix him.
Just take off that helmet, buddy. Doom Guy's too good.
Ugh. Gex.
What about like
Crash
Marcus?
Bandicoot?
Marcus Phoenix.
Not a sensitive lover, I don't think.
Do you think
No.
he leaves the do-rag on during the act?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Stop this.
Stop this.
Anyone from any of the Elder Scrolls games?
Oh God.
I can't remember. I cannot remember a single NPC.
Every
from
human
any of them.
being in every Bethesda game looks horrific.
They are all funny looking.
They're all monsters.
Yeah.
We have to come to
Todd Howard.
some sort of agreement. It sounded like Joanna Dark was
Joanna
the,
Dark.
Oh yeah, Joanna Dark Doom Guy. Definitely get mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Lusty Argonian maid. Yeah, who would be the most giving lover in all of video games? I wonder.
the most giving.
Yeah.
Kratos
Like, would
is
give you the
proven.
most pleasure?
It's proven. Yes, he killed
Is
his
that
family,
what the
but
is that
still.
what the question is?
Depending on if you were good at the the mini games.
I agree with
was.
Chad. I think Ezio
Catherine
would be a
Ezio
giving
seems
lover.
like yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure. Yeah.
but then he would vanish,
But then,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
then you would
bounced.
find him next week with another woman.
Perfect.
which is yeah a bonus.
Perfect.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Kirby.
Kirby. It's
I'm getting way off.
Kirby's a little much.
Kirby, I mean, there are
Next question.
Think of the possibilities.
Next one comes in from Jesse Blue. Hello, allies with GOTY deliberations and awards over. Would you please all give each other a pat on the back, fist bump, or hug for making it through another year? Thank you. Love and respect, hugs and smiles.
We did it.
What's the thing? We're giving each other.
Just
Oh.
a pat. We're congratulating ourselves.
We did it. Good job, us.
Good job. We
Good
did
job,
it.
Played the
us.
video games.
We've been patted.
I don't know. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I feel like it was like pretty chill this year.
It was. I thought they were
Relatively.
pretty good at it. I was watching those deliberations, packaging that with the titles and everything, and I was like, look at us listening to each other.
I mean,
No, we did a pretty good
that part
job.
where Huber flipped the table was a little unhinged.
Yeah.
But we put the table there for him to flip, so
Yeah.
That's true, I guess.
We knew what
kinda
we were
anticipated
doing.
it.
We knew what we were doing when we put that.
I wish
table
my cashews were on the table when he flipped it, but
Upending
still,
the tea table, yeah.
no one died.
Last one comes in from Tars of Stars. Hey guys, this question was meant for last month, but I just missed the boat. I was wondering, what were some of your favorite music/albums/songs of 2021? If nothing of that year, what is something you prominently listened to? For me, I want to shout out 3 albums: the new album Daddy's Home by St. Vincent, The Future Bites by Stephen Wilson, and Promises, the collaboration of Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders with the London Symphony Orchestra. It's absolutely stunning. Thanks.
I discovered Zamilska. She's pretty cool. Throwing Snow is chill. Ashniko is fun if you're into aggressive lesbian music. Italtech.
I finally listened to SMT2, no, not SMT2, no, S&M2, Symphony of Metallica 2, the one in San Francisco.
I was just like, dude, Jones is like really going in. on
SMT
SMT.
Yeah,
soundtrack.
The only thing Ben
Holy
likes more
shit.
than SMT is S&M. But it was fun because it's Metallica and like a symphony, and what I loved about it is they had a new song on there. They played a couple songs they played on the first album, but they had one that like the orchestra brought to Metallica. They were like, "This is a piece of classical music that we would like you, Metallica, to play," and they were like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so they just strum in the background while it's called like the Iron Forge or something, or
Oh, okay.
something Warcrafty. But yeah,
This is gonna make me sound like a psychopath, but that's okay. I really like the song "Murderous Rampage" by Cannibal Corpse.
Oh, yeah.
Check out the album Pronto or Proto from Holly Herndon. That came out in 2019 though, but I discovered it last year.
Between the Bear and Me, Colors 2. If you like prog metal. Way to go.
Also, I just have music from Euphoria stuck in my head now, right now, like constantly. Like, I've got All For Us just like in my head so hard right now.
It's hard for me because like I'll listen to a little bit of a new album and it's like, okay, back to Megadeth. Like, and I'll just like I'll dabble in a little bit of new and
That's
then
cool.
go back to things I've listened to
The old
30,000
comforts. The old
times.
comforts,
New
man.
Dream Theater's good. I'm gonna listen to that new Dream Theater album on the drive home for the podcast.
We all got those comfy albums.
Back to our first question with the parasocial thing. It's like, so often people will send me a song and they'll be like, "You're gonna love this. It's like perfect for you." And it's like literally the genre of music I hate the most on the planet Earth. I hate pop punk.
Maybe they're memeing now.
Like, I hate it. Or like emo
It's
or
such
whatever.
the passion with which you hate it makes it funny.
I know. It's fun. I mean, like, I have a sense of humor about it too. It just makes me very, very depressed, like, instantly.
before I listen to that on the drive home, I'm gonna send you a pop punk song.
Let's all send a pop punk song to her.
Please don't.
Shout out
gonna
to
love this.
Limp Bizkit's return this year.
Dad Vibes, actually a really good song. I really like the song.
I asked you
Dad
about
Vibes.
that because you didn't listen to it at the time.
Yeah, no, it's like super short. It's like 2 minutes. It's actually a legitimately good song.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna look this up right
When
now.
Ben loves a Limp Bizkit song, I'm pleased.
It's funny because I'm so. It's weird too because I
It's 2 minutes and 12
had
seconds.
been in so many different music scenes over the years, and like now I'm like, at the past couple of years, like all I'm really listening to are video
Game
game
soundtracks? Yeah.
So it's like, Day of the World Ends With You, and East 9, and
East
Chicory,
Down.
and Axiom Verge
East
2, and
Nice, yeah. Lots of great music.
but
Was that Clipping album last year? What even happened last year?
like even bands that
Yeah,
like I
Perhaps
kept
Susie,
up
that's
with for
cool.
years, like I haven't really been following. It's like, oh, they put out an album, cool, and then
Oh.
I read an interview and I never listened to the album.
Visions of Bodies Getting Burned is 2020.
I was going to recommend the song "Isolation" by Sepultura, but that was 2020. Still
Yeah.
really good though.
Yeah.
Did I mention the Medium stuff? There's some good stuff in
Oh,
there.
really?
Kiri
Oh.
Yamaoka songs near the
Okay.
end of that.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, James Francis. He's good.
Dad Vibes was a song I was listening to in the car, and my wife was like, "I like this," and I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Wife approved.
Listen to Dad Vibes, it's good.
Let
Oh,
Fred
Jeffrey
Durst
Blue
know,
Note in your
dude. Tweet
soundtrack,
him.
Nice.
Have you listened
nice.
to Black Midi? The band, not the genre?
No,
Look up the song John L. It's pretty wild. You might dig it.
I
Or you'll
used
totally
to-
hate it.
Like a few years ago, I was really good, or well, not really good, but much better at like following contemporary music.
Same.
And now I just like am so deep in my metal hole again. Okay, thank you. Q&A. Dad vibes.
Q&A!
Q&A gives us dad vibes.
Dad vibe.
It's just a funny name.
One of you is a dad.
One of us is his dad.
We're gonna be doing Tier Maker in
In,
just
like-
a second.
In moments.
In moments.
Yeah.
But if you want to be involved in the Q&A, that's a Patreon tier. Go to patreon.com/easyallies and be a part of the Q&A. Give us the questions because we only do this once a month. A specific stream just geared toward your questions as patrons. And obviously we talk to chat at the same time. Thank you to mods for managing all of the madness.
Yeah.
Jones, you're so much better at going into that closing mode. I'm always just
He's
like,
professional.
whatever. See ya.
Bye.
The more concise we are, the quicker we can leave. No, we love hanging out with all of you. We're just going to do it so soon. Then we're going to do a podcast after that. So we got a fun day
Yeah.
today.
We'll be right
But,
back.
Shout out. It's Damiani for doing the Tier Maker. Bye, everybody. See you soon.